Cher's suffering started as a child at the hands of her alcoholic father. And even when she broke through stardom, the men in her life tried to pull her back. She survived bankruptcy and fought through failures only to be despised by her sons in old age. But how did the Queen of Pop get here? Follow us along as we uncover the rare photos and untold stories of Cher. Born Sherilyn Sarkeesian in El Centro, California, the young singer started living in trouble from childhood. Her father, John Sarkeesian, was a chronic drunk who couldn't help himself, and due to his extreme gambling habits, he always had very little to contribute to the family. Cher's mother, Georgia, got tired of the situation and decided on a divorce when Cher was just 10 months old. Soon after, her mother got married to actor John Southall, but not much would change for them. The family moved to Los Angeles, where Georgia struggled her acting job with waiting tables. When on set, she always tried to bring in little Cher and her stepsisters as extras in movies. John was certainly a great upgrade from Cher's last dad, but he was also a chronic drinker. As things got too complicated in Georgia's marriage after 8 years and they couldn't keep it together, again they separated. After the divorce, the family's poverty intensified. It was a daily struggle to eat, and Cher recounts a time when she used rubber bands to hold her shoes together. Georgia, as much as she hated to, had to place Cher in an orphanage just to free things up a bit on her end. Cher confessed that this experience was traumatic for her and her mother, but they had very few options. Then the music chapter of her life started, and it began in the most interesting way. For her 5th grade musical, Oklahoma, Cher needed the boys in her family for a part in the production, but they refused. So she organized the girls in choreography while she took the male roles. She acted their parts and sang their songs. A huge influence in Cher's upbringing and subsequently in her pursuit for fame was actress Audrey Hepburn. She behaved and dressed like her. She also drew inspiration from Bette Davis and Katharine Hepburn. The turning point for their family was when Georgia got married to bank manager LaPierre. He adopted Cher and her stepsister and enrolled them in a private school. As reported, the singer struggled with dyslexia and had a hard time getting along with her new friends, who were all from rich families. However, from what a former classmate shared, Cher was always a standout from the rest of them. Her dressing and composure spoke dignity and attracted respect to her. She said that she was going to be a movie star, and we knew she would, her classmate reported. Cher, later on in life, admitted that she knew exactly what she was doing by presenting that image of herself to her mates. The truth was that she never liked school. She spent the whole time thinking of when she would be famous. During lunch in school, Cher would perform for her friends, and somewhere in between, she felt that it was finally time for a bold decision. At 16, Cher dropped out of school and began taking acting classes. Her parents refused to sponsor her rebellion, so the young singer would make a living dancing in clubs. And just like a perfectly written script, it would be there that she would meet the strongest force in her career. Cher met singer Sonny Bono in 1962. Bono at that time was working under record producer Phil Spector. At the time, Cher was staying with her friend. But after her friend relocated, she desperately needed a place to stay, so she offered to be Sonny's housekeeper just so he could give her a roof over her head. But Sonny was going to be really generous. He introduced Cher to Phil, who immediately offered Cher a spot as a backup singer for his recordings. She was also featured in a few of his tracks, including Be My Baby, You've Lost That Loving Feeling, and The Ronettes. When it was finally Cher's moment to step into the spotlight, the crowd rejected her. Phil produced her first single, Ringo, I Love You. The song was criticized and rejected by many radio station producers who thought that Cher's deep voice in the song was that of a homosexual man professing his love for the Beatles drummer Ringo Starr. And that was only the beginning of her career setbacks. Looking back today, far beyond her talents, what preserved the Cher name was her resilience and her strong character. Even after her breakthrough, Sonny would push all she had labored for down the drain, and Cher got back right where she started in life, in cheap nightclubs, building from scratch. Cher's life could pass as a tragedy movie of a woman who paid her way to stardom only to get to the top and find out that none of it was worth it. But how did we get here? It all started when she moved in with Sonny Bono. Employed as a housekeeper, Cher would also strike a chord in the heart of Sonny Bono. Desperate to move things very quickly, they had an unofficial wedding in Tijuana, Mexico in 1964. It was just her and Sonny with 2 cheap rings with their names on them. They shared such a blissful relationship that it was sad to see it end the way it did. Anyway, Cher was projected as the brighter star, but Bono was that very vital piece that held things together behind the scenes. He had intended to launch Cher as a solo artist, but only decided to continue performing with her because she had stage fright. And whenever they performed, Cher would avoid looking at the crowd by staring into Bono's eyes as they sang. At those moments, as Cher revealed, she sang to the crowd through Sonny. But sadly, as it proved, love wasn't enough to push their careers to where they had wanted. Their onstage chemistry was explosive, but they had to make a few important adjustments if they wanted to catch their break. Rolling Stones told us that the Americans just didn't get us, and if we're going to make it big, we had to go to England, Cher revealed. So they made the big move, and true to the speculations, they had their breakthrough. The duo released their debut album, and the first single, I Got You Babe, became an international hit. It spent 3 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100 in the United States, where it also sold over 1 million copies. While this new fame came with so much glory and ease, sadly it ushered in another wave of misfortune. Sonny and Cher welcomed their first child, Chaz Bono, on March 4, 1969, and that was going to be the last celebration for a while. The couple put together $500,000 and mortgaged their home so they could produce their film Chastity, which Sonny wrote. Unfortunately, the film was a bad investment, performing way below par, and left the couple in debt for $190,000. In a bid to make ends meet, Cher and Sonny would start performing in nightclubs in the hope of restoring their lost glory. During one of their late-night performances, the couple got into a dramatic fight with their audience. As unprofessional as that was, television executives who were around found it very interesting and soon had the couple featured in primetime shows. And it wouldn't be long now before CBS's head of programming would offer them their very own program after seeing them perform as guest hosts on The Merv Griffin Show in 1971. So, the Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour was born. It premiered that same year with 6 episodes, and by the end of the year, it was in the top 20 hits in ratings, garnering more than 30 million viewers weekly. The show sadly came to an end after Sonny and Cher separated. They cited irreconcilable differences. It was only after their divorce that we discovered that the couple had been sampling a false image of their marriage. Cher deceived us into believing that Sonny was the trophy husband, but after their divorce, she complained bitterly of him manipulating her as an instrument. She even argues that their marriage wasn't even intimate. According to the rumors, he also deprived her of a fair share of their earnings, even though Cher was the brighter star. Cher described Sonny as a Sicilian man of his generation who dominated and controlled her so much, almost destroying her self-esteem. All these years, and Sonny has always been the one behind the wheel, and when Cher wanted to separate, he threatened her. America will hate you, and you won't have a job. But the actress was already decided. They finalized their divorce in 1975. Bono died 23 years later in a tragic skiing accident, just a week after the duo received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. At the funeral, Cher poured all of her out at his grave, describing him as the most unforgettable person in her life. 4 days after her divorce from Sonny, Cher would tie the knot with rock musician Gregg Allman. We all suspected that it was an act to hide her grief, and true to our suspicions, she would file a divorce 7 days later. According to her, she noticed strong drinking habits and substance abuse from Gregg, and that was too much to handle. Anyway, somehow, the couple was able to get things going after a month, but still, it was not going to last. But this time was different. Allman was going to be the one to file a divorce. Cher had got back with Sonny for Sonny and Cher's TV reunion in 1976, and this made Allman very uncomfortable. The show had a disappointing run and so was canceled the following year. Gregg and Cher recorded a duet album, To the Hard Way, which was released in 1977. Their relationship ended shortly after the album's release, and they finalized their divorce in 1979. Cher and Allman share a son, Elijah Blue, who was born after their first year of marriage. After that, Cher started a well-publicized romance with Robert Camilletti in 1986. Their relationship made the headlines for so many reasons. First was that Rob took a hit at the celebrity singer in a bagel shop where he worked as a waiter, and also, Cher was 18 years his senior. According to the singer, all those things matter very little to her, as her new lover had so many amazing qualities that she couldn't believe. Anyway, their relationship was doomed from the start. They were both from different worlds, an accomplished actress matched with a wannabe actor. There were even rumors of a secret marriage and Cher's pregnancy for him, but these were never confirmed. The duo separated in 1989 due to pressure from the media. They continued to stay friends, and Cher, in an interview with Woman's Realm, described Rob as her one true love. Cher believed that the media bullied Camilletti, as they always tagged him as the Bagel Boy, to the point that Rob had to quit his acting dreams to pursue a career as a pilot. "Old boyfriends make good friends," the singer told Vanity Fair in 2010. "Robert is a huge pilot. He flies for all the big names in this town. He flew me to Jamaica." Cher has been romantically linked with Top Gun star Tom Cruise. They first met in 1985 when the actor was 23 and she was 38. Nothing was ever official, but Cher kept dropping clues that suggested that there was a spark somewhere in between. "He was in the top 5, she told Andy Cohen. "I had just the greatest lover ever. Not a long list, it is just a good list." After their romance fizzled out, Cher admitted that they maintained friendship. She also shared that she has had a long run in her search for love and lasting happiness in the industry, and some of the men that she was romantically connected with include screenwriter Rob Zimmerman, guitarist Richie Sambora, and the most recent music executive Alexander Edward, who is 40 years her junior. Her quest for love may sound like a story of despair, but it doesn't hold a candle to her greatest source of despair, her kids. The apple never falls too far from the tree, and this was the case with Cher and her sons. Her sons were not so terrible, but the actress probably wishes that things would be a little less difficult with them. Elijah Blue Allman, her child with Greg, would inherit his father's habits, so much so that at the age of 11, he was already knee-deep in heroin addiction. But according to Elijah himself, this is due to the fact that he had a very lonely childhood. Cher had sent him off to boarding school when he was 7 to avoid being negatively influenced by his father, but Elijah said that he felt like he was being avoided. This strained his relationship with his mother, and even after his father's death, he would still not be at peace with her. She wasn't even invited to his wedding with his partner, Angie King. Although they have tried to reconcile so many times, things only get worse afterward. "You know, man, we have our issues. We've worked through a lot of them. We got some more to go," Elijah revealed in an interview. Talking about reconciliation with her mother, she said, "In due time, I'm sure that has to happen. Anything like that has to happen at an organic pace." However, Elijah confessed to getting over his adolescent rage for his mom. At the moment, he has nothing but love and admiration for her. Drugs were not the only thing that he got from his father, though. He got some good stuff, too. He is also the lead singer and guitarist of the band Deadsy. But Elijah is not Cher's only son that is struggling with personal issues. Cher's other son, Chaz Bono, with whom she had her first love, Sonny Bono, also has his fair share. Like his mother, Chaz would pursue a career in the acting industry, featuring in movies like American Horror Story and RuPaul's Drag Race. However, on the flip side of things, Chaz reveals in his documentary, Becoming Chaz, his struggles with identity crisis and how it led him into his transition as a trans man. Chaz has a tough upbringing. He didn't have so many friends and always had a hard time relating to girls. He would first come out as a lesbian before transitioning to a male later on in his life. His relationship with his brother has always been complicated as they grew up separately, and his mother was not always his favorite person. Anyway, they were able to patch things together, and Cher became more supportive of him. Cher might not be the best mom of the year, but her love for her sons and other children cannot be denied. She is currently the spokesperson for Keep a Child Alive, an organization that supports children with HIV/AIDS, and she has donated millions to this cause. However, that's not the only project or the most interesting one, in fact, that Cher invests so much money on. The most interesting would be her love for plastic surgery. Not very many actresses in the industry would accredit the secret of their beauty and fitness to plastic surgery, but not Cher. She has unashamedly, at many events, pronounced that she has had work done at all the right places. Though her first surgery was a total letdown, still she wasn't discouraged. So far, she has had a facelift, a nose job, and dental surgery. Surgery was not the only thing that did the job for her, though. Cher also shared a few of her other anti-aging secrets. "I have to work at it. I don't drink, and I've not done drugs," she told Sun magazine. "I hate watching TV, and I take care of myself. And I am a good eater." The weirdest part, though, is that she doesn't just hate watching TV, she also hates watching her movies or hearing her own. Sure, we've heard of a lot of actors who can't bear watching themselves act, but this was certainly an upgrade to that. In general, I'm not a huge Cher fan. I'm really not. I'd rather do the singing than listen to it, Cher confessed to Sun magazine. I don't want to listen to what I do, I don't want to see it, and I don't want to hear my voice, she said. And talking about her acting career, admittedly away from the microphones, Cher has shown that she is indeed a woman of many talents. Sometimes in the 80s, she dabbled into the acting industry and was able to scoop some impressive awards also. For her performance in the 1983 Silkwood with Meryl Streep, she was nominated for the Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress. She was finally able to win the Oscar with her performance in the 1988 rom-com Moonstruck. Other of her notable features include 1981 Suspect, the 1985 Mask, and Mamma Mia. What is she doing now? Cher's acting days might be over, but she continues to make waves in the musical industry. She released her album The Dancing Queen in 2018, and it topped the Billboard's album sales chart. It was reported that it sold more than 153,000 units in its first year. In October 2019, Cher launched her perfume brand, Cher Eau de Couture. The following year, she was featured on the New York Times list The Best Actors of 2020. Cher, now 77 years old, still maintains all of her youthful exuberance. She has proved over the years that she is and will remain one of the best to ever hold a microphone. These days, the goodness of pop spends quality time alone in her mansion in Malibu. She has an estimated net worth of $360 million. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out other videos on the end screen of beautiful actresses from the yesteryears.